Hey, what's going on, everybody? Chris here from Tested Speed Shop. As you can see, we got the Firebird jacked up. Today we're going to be talking about rear ends. We're not doing the clutch yet. That's coming up. It's like 60 degrees here today, so I wanted to just get time to get this thing jacked up, because let me go over what's going on here. My car is a late production car. Was built in 9 of 69, so I guess you could say it's almost considered a 70 or 70 and a half, or whatever you want to call it, I don't know, or a 69 and a half. But mid-year they made some changes to the BOP rear ends in these, and since this is a late production car, I have to look and see what changes are made in order to get my positive traction unit. So I got to pop the cover off and I got to look at the bolts, because in mid-year 69 they made some changes to the rear end. And let me curl that here. Now if you look at the rear, you'll notice the axle tubes have these flat spots on them up here towards the ends here. They're flat. Evidently that's a 69 thing, and I guess the Grand Prix are like that, and I guess, I don't know if maybe the Le Manses are or not, but the changes that they made in mid-year 69 is what they did is they changed the size of the ring gear bolts. They went from a 3/8 bolt to a 7/16 bolt. That's left-hand thread. So I need to pull the cover off and I need to see what bolts I have. Also, the other change they made in 69 is they made a change to the axle bearings. I know John at Vinyl Village Garage, he did a video the other day where he showed changing the axle seal on his Firebird, but he might have an early production car, or an earlier production car than this. I'm not sure what my bearings are, so I have to pull a wheel and I need to pop a retainer and I have to see what I have, because the mid-year change is that they went to what they call an oil bearing versus the sealed bearing like John had on his car. The oil bearing is supposed to be an improvement, and the problems that has is that when you pull that axle out, you can't just pull it out and leave the seals inside the tube. When you pull it out, the seal is on the actually on the outside of the bearing on the flange side. So what that means is if you need to change that axle seal, you got to press those bearings off and put the seal on and then press the bearings back on. And also it allows oil to get to that bearing, so it's lubricated by gear oil versus being a sealed bearing like what was on John's car. So I'm hoping, because I guess this rear could go either way with that design of axle bearing, I'm really hoping that this has the style like John had with the sealed bearing, the seal inside the tube, because if it isn't, then I'm going to have to, it's going to be more work, because you'll almost end up destroying the bearings pressing them on and off. So I'll probably end up having to get new axle bearings and seals and press it all together. So that's one thing I want to look at besides the bolts on the ring gear. So the other thing, there's a couple other things I was reading about. I guess the BOP rears are kind of a little strange. Like if you guys see a BOP Buick rear and it's a 68 to 70, it might have the same cover shape, but the positive traction unit will not fit a Pontiac rear end because it's physically different. For some reason, Buick made changes from 68 to 70 on those carriers, and they will not fit in a Pontiac rear. The other thing is if you have a 3/8 carrier and you have 7/16 bolts, you can drill out the carrier to the 7/16 bolt size. There's a place, JD Racing, he has a lot of good information on the Pontiac rears. That's where I got a lot of the information I got, and I talked to him. He also makes like a sleeve that you can put a sleeve inside a 7/16 carrier and use your 3/8 bolts. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to pop this cover off, drain the gear oil out, and we'll take a look and we'll see what we got going on, and get that part of it done, and then I'll pull a wheel and try and pull the retainer back. I don't know if I'm going to be able to see anything. I don't know if the retainer will come back far enough. I don't really want to pull an axle right now because I want to do the clutch, and I want to keep the car drivable so that after the clutch is in, I can, you know, take it for a test drive and see how it's all going to work. So let me get this cover off, and I will bring you guys back when I get it popped off. Alright, back with you. Got the cover off. It does look like I have the big bolts, and it looks like they are left-hand thread. So let's crawl under here, and if you look, I don't know how well you can see, the bolt has an L stamped in the center of it, and the hex will be a 3/4. I don't know how well, yeah, you can see the L on that one. Yep, has an L. So if it's a 3/4 bolt head and has the L stamped in it, it's a 7/16 bolt, and it's left-hand thread. So if you go to tighten it or go to take it off, you got to remember to go the opposite direction, or else you'll just break it or strip it or screw the ring gear up. So that's what I needed to check to see what bolt it had in it. Kind of sucks I had to drain all the damn gear oil out of it just to do this, but I guess because it's this, you know, 69 mid-year axle thing, it kind of throws everything for a loop. So, and as far as I know, this only pertains to 69, and it only pertains to the later cars. So, I mean, you could still put like an earlier rear from like a 68 or 7 in it and not have this issue, and still have the 3/8 bolt heads, or the 3/8 bolts, and the standard, you know, thread instead of the, you know, left-hand thread. So that's what I needed to find out to get the posi unit. So next step I'm going to do here is I'm going to stick the cover back on, get one of these wheels off, and we'll take a look at the wheel bearing and see what we can see with that. And hopefully we can see a little bit of something without having to yank the whole axle out, because that'll just kind of suck, and I don't want to do that right now. So, but I'm hoping, like I said, fingers crossed, it's the easier one and not the complicated one, but we shall see. So, alright, let me get to work on this cover, and I'll bring you back. Well, got the cover on, got the wheel off, and I don't think I'm going to try and get that retainer out tonight, because the bolts are pretty rusty, or the nuts are pretty rusty, and I don't honestly think I'm going to be able to see anything without yanking the axle out. So let me give you, I don't know how much you guys can even see, but if you look inside there, there's our axle retainer, and you can see that it's not going to come back very, very far to even really see, because it has that little rise on it. So I guess the only thing I'm going to be able to do is probably just wait and see what we have when we tear the rear end apart, and just hope and pray it isn't the oil style bearing, and hope it's the seal bearing, which will make replacing the axle seals so much easier, instead of having to press everything off, because I know what's going to happen. When you go to press them off, you might as well just replace the axle bearings. So unfortunately, it just complicates things, and it's a crappy design. I don't understand why Pontiac even went to that. It's just part of this weirdness of this freaking mid 69 change in these rear ends. So what are you gonna do? I didn't realize there were so many variations and goofiness in these rears at all. I had no idea. I just thought maybe I could find a Buick rear and put a posi out of a Buick in it. Well, can't do that. And then I found out about the differences in the carriers with the bolt sizes and stuff like that. I had no idea about. I didn't know they had left-hand threaded bolts. You know, I didn't know they had 2 different bearings either. I thought they were all just pretty much the same, like, you know, Pontiac, Oldsmobile, you know, they all use the sealed type bearing. So, I don't know. Weird. So, I don't know why. So, honestly, I can't say why Pontiac did all these changes. It's just odd, you know. And figures my car has all this. My car has a bunch of weirdness just because of a late production car that it is. So it's just strange, some of the things that came on the car. You know, almost like they were trying to just clean out inventory on things. Mine has the lower shield underneath the radiator support, you know, the shield that supposedly the air conditioning cars and stuff got. Well, this one has one. So, you know, it's just a lot of strange stuff, you know, with these late production cars. So, I don't know. So, let me get this wheel back on, throw some gear oil in it, and I'll bring you guys back. Hopefully my cover won't leak, because I didn't have a gasket, so I just siliconed it. And not that it's that big of a deal, because it's going to be coming apart sooner or later here anyways. So that won't be that big of a deal, but yeah, it kind of sucks. I thought maybe I could take that retainer back and actually see something, and you just can't see it. It just stinks. It's just kind of a BS setup on the whole deal. So, alright, well, let me get this back together, put some gear oil in it, get it off the jack, and I'll bring it back. Well, she's back on the ground. Gear oil's in it. All done. Kind of feel bad I couldn't see anything with pulling that retainer back. I wish I could have given you guys more insight on that, but we're probably just going to have to wait until we start on the rear end. If that guy still has that unit for sale, hopefully he does. That's part of the plan of getting things done. So next time you see this is probably going to be getting the clutch done, because I want to get that needs to go in. I just want to get that done. So, and that's going to be probably a couple videos, because I'm going to pull that out, get the flywheel turned. We're going to reseal the transmission, because the transmission leaks a little bit. So I'm going to buy a gasket kit for it, and put new seals in the cover and put some new gaskets in and clean it up real good. Don't have any shifting issues with it. The transmission shifts great. It's quiet. I don't have any problems with it. The shifter, it's not loose or anything like that. It shifts good. I'll probably clean that up too, because it's just covered in 2 tons of crap. So the whole underside of this car is just filthy, because it's sat for so long. I never cleaned it. It's going to get pressure washed, aka the car wash, before we pull the transmission out of it, to try and clean as much crap off the bottom of this thing as possible, especially the transmission, because it's just one big greasy mess. When I bought the car and crawled underneath it, you couldn't even tell it was aluminum until I wiped it, because it was just black with crud. So, but that's probably going to do it for now. If you want, I'll start this thing up. It's not really much of a cold start, because it is 60 degrees out. I'd love to take this thing for a drive, but there's still so much garbage on the road, and stuff's melting, and stuff like that. It's just a real mess. So I don't know if I can start this and hold this camera at the same time. We'll see. Let's see what we can do here. has no choke. Chevelle doesn't have a choke either. Back this thing out a little bit or else I'm going to gas myself. There we go. Of course, it's dark out now and you can't see anything out here, but you can listen to it burble away a little bit. It's a pretty quiet car. I got to reposition this anyways because it's a little close to the wall. So, and that should be it for this video. Like I said, you guys can check out Vinyl Village Garage and John's channel. He's got the he does a lot of 69 stuff, and he did that axle bearing or that axle seal replacement I don't know, about a month ago, and you can see what I'm talking about with his axle versus what I might end up running into. So that should be it for now. Till the next time, and I'm not sure what we're going to be working on next on this. I'm hoping the clutch. Maybe it'll even be getting this thing running, because the old Chevy needs to drive too. So not only do Firebird stuff, but I work on other cars too. So a lot of Mopar stuff, because everybody I know seems to own a Mopar for some strange reason. All right, that's it. I'll see you guys next time.